So who's sitting here saw the Chris Rock special last night?
I did. I seen it live. Me and
We're
my
the only
mom.
ones.
I saw part of it. Like I saw like just a clip of the Will Smith joke or whatever.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we were all able to talk about it, but maybe me and AD could just describe our thoughts about it. My thoughts are honestly like
I heard it was mid.
it was super mid. It was like a few funny moments, and then you get to the end, and he drops some Will Smith jokes, and it's like realistically, if you were paying attention to the commentary that was going on in hip hop or in the outside world, all the jokes that he said were jokes that other people made within like the first 48 hours of the slap. Like it was some dated ass jokes that you would probably only find funny if you really weren't that tapped in.
It's an older Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Dave Chappelle has set the bar now of how this comedy shit is like pressing the line and shit like that. So it's like when I was watching it, me and my mom was looking at it, and I'm like, okay. Like the funniest joke to me, he said something like an Asian lady was married to a caterpillar or something like that. And that was like, okay, I got a little laugh out of that. But other than that, I was like,
I got some laughs, but as a whole,
my thing is, after seeing that shit, like, you deserve that slap, my boy. You deserve to get the shit slapped out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, for, like antagonizing this woman for the last 20 years, like, and then cop on him, national TV, call this woman a bitch again. You know what I'm saying? Like, not again, but just call her a bitch. And then talking
he
down
basically
on
explains how that whole narrative is bullshit.
Yeah, but even talking down on black women, but then
he wasn't talking down on black women. He was talking down on her.
He tried to say she started it.
But
Yeah,
Meghan Markle too, and he talking down on black women. He has a history of talking about down on black women and black women hair and this and that and the other.
He's a comedian. He's gonna make some fucking jokes.
But then, this again, he's saying, "Oh, we shouldn't slap each other in front of these white people."
Yeah,
but you get
no. Jokes are okay.
Yeah.
Hitting people is not. You learn this in elementary school, right?
But being rude, you feel me, and saying rude shit and
it's not
and
rude.
an
It's him
angry
making jokes.
But we know this is not a joke towards Jada Pinkett calling her a bitch.
She does.
We call women bitches all the time.
No, we fucking don't.
Yes, we do. It's the most common thing in the world on hip hop.
Yeah, but she had alopecia, bro. That's something that she
shit
can't
funny
control.
too. She got a fucked up haircut.
He gonna slap your ass next.
Let's go.
Nah.
Listen, I'm saying he's a fucking comedian. He's got to be able to make jokes without people deciding to just randomly virtue signal and say, oh, he's trashing black women. No, he's a motherfucking comedian making jokes about his own people. And he feels comfortable making
When does the joke become personal? That's personal.
When somebody chooses to take it personal. When Will Smith goes crazy and smacks a motherfucker on stage and destroys his own career.
It was definitely personal, and Will should have waited until after the shit was done. You know what I'm saying? If he could have did the same shit.
Clearly, Will mishandled the situation. Yeah. There's no denying that because you've seen what has become of his career, and it's not pretty.
But no,
what's become of his career? He just came out with a fucking another movie.
Yeah, Will's gonna be out.
Yeah, one movie that they filmed before all that shit that they almost didn't even put out.
He got Bad Boys 4 coming out. He got motherfucking iRobot 2 coming. He's gonna be all right.
I'm not denying that he's gonna be all right. I'm just saying it's clearly had a massively negative impact on his career.
Oh, agree.
During that time, I don't think now people are like agreeing with this slap. You feel me? Like,
nobody agrees with the slap.
What are you not looking
There was
at
a lot of people like you who were agreeing with it at the time. But I feel like essentially everybody who agreed with it at the time should probably be able to admit by now that it was a terrible idea in the sense that it amplified whatever magnifying glass was already on his wife in the first place. It amplified the bullying and the hating and the hate that she was getting so much. Like, if his intent with slapping him was basically to like somehow minimize the amount of abuse his wife was taking, I'm sorry, it had the exact opposite impact. It made everybody talk about it.
On top of that, then the Academy could go back to whitewashing the entire industry because that's the first Academy Awards where they're focusing heavily on inclusion. What? They're focusing heavily on inclusion, and then what happens? That kind of puts like a whole stain on that entire trajectory. So then it's back to like, you feel me? Tom Cruise and all these
Angelina Jolie,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, even Chris Rock, like how he handled the situation, saying she's a bitch and everything like that. I mean, at that point, it was
in our community. You should have said that
back then
when he slapped you.
But
You feel me?
to be fair, like
because this joke is personal.
Well, he's trying to be
he waited
professional.
a year. He waited a year to speak on it, and you got to give him some credit for that because it would have been the easiest thing in the fucking world for him to come out and be doing a special talking about it right afterwards. I think him waiting a year is pretty tasteful, especially considering that he was the victim in this situation. But yeah,
he said he's not the victim.
he might not feel like the victim, but he is the one who got smacked in the face by Will Smith on TV, a much larger man. I mean, I'm sorry, you essentially are the victim here, regardless. If there was a police report or if there was a lawsuit involved, you would be the victim. So he might not feel like a victim or want to present himself that way. But I mean, I did notice that when he said the bitch word in the fucking stand-up special, that it did feel like, oh, ooh, like. That's not normally something that you would see a comedian like Chris Rock say about another woman who's kind of like his peer. So to see that he was really like holding on to that sort of anger that he had towards her, it was a little interesting.
At that point, man, and your tone of voice, that shit was personal, dog.
We'll need to come get you again.
She does seem like a bitch, though.
That shit was personal, dog. I mean, you could say that in that context, like, oh, she does seem like a bitch, but you can't be like, nigga, fuck that bitch.
She knows her way better than us, so I'm gonna just kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. Right?
I'm not gonna call your girl a bitch because I feel like I crack jokes.
If my girl did some bitch ass shit, then I would expect you to call her a bitch.
I don't know. Out of respect for you, we're never gonna call her no bitch.
Okay, but you and me are a little closer than Chris Rock and Will Smith, right?
We don't know.
True, but I mean, we're on a show together, so.
Didn't Jada afterwards like talk down about Will doing that? Like,
yeah.
That's why I said it made it even worse.
And that's why, like, anybody who would argue that, oh, Will was badass when he did that, as soon as she condemned it, it's kind of like, okay, you can't really keep acting like this is a W.
It's only one thing. Like, I agree with Chris Rock. What he said though is that there were a lot of people calling him a bitch. You know what I'm saying, for the August Alsina thing. Like, everybody was attacking him, and he felt like you chose to get mad at me,
right?
Versus everybody else. I respect that.
He's been emasculated in front of the world.
But this is the thing: is that was Chris Rock's joke? It's like you smacked me when your wife was fucking your son's friend. There were people making that joke 5 minutes after he slapped him on Twitter. Like that was the first joke that most people thought of after this shit happened. He waited a year and said the exact same joke.
Remember,
now
dancing to the shit. Entanglement with
Chris
August.
Rock,
Entanglement.
No, and he did that joke too. He's like, I haven't had any entanglements. It's like, okay, we all heard that joke within 5 minutes of this shit happening too.
And a lot of people that were bringing up that joke who had that in mind right after that shit happened, they were on their ass. I ain't heard from their ass since either. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't made any of those jokes fucking since.
Only one person.
Why not?
Andrew Schultz.
Why do you think people stop making those jokes?
Just because of the relationships. You feel me? Like
nobody got a relationship with Will Smith.
Well, it is.
Andrew Schultz ain't gonna just run into Will Smith.
But it's just industry politics, right?
Yeah,
it's industry politics. A lot of shit is still being controlled. Like you still got production companies that still fuck with Will Smith. It's a lot of
Smith
things.
Ain't stopping
it's a lot of shit that he definitely can
Will
stop.
Can definitely stop some shit.
Not right now. He
can.
No, everybody's making fun of him and he can't do shit about it.
He can buy no jumper right now.
No. I would have to sell it. And what would he do if he bought it? Oh, cool. I have a building. Social media account.
He's going to sit here with us.
Cool. I have a Twitter account with like 50% less followers.
He's going to be yelling at lunch.
1/50th of the followers of his own social media
account.
accounts.
Should become a Scientology platform.
Hey, but Vlad said that he would sell Vlad for $100 million. I'll be honest with you. I was thinking about it. That's a lot.
$100 million for no jumper?
Yeah, all right, fine. Because it makes no sense. It's not worth that. So for sure, for $100 million, you could have that.
Basically, he's trying to outprice it because he doesn't want to sell it.
Vlad said that because he's like, oh, this is a number I wouldn't do it for, or that I would do it for. So I'll just acknowledge that, even though
y'all not giving me that. So let's just stop there.
Exactly. Like, would he do it for 50? Would he do it for 40? I don't know. Probably those are a lot closer to like numbers that maybe somebody would actually throw out there, but.